Welcome to episode 1 of the Lateforloadin podcast. I'm Chris. I'm here with my co-host Josh, and on today's episode we have Josh Balz, formerly of Motionless in White, currently of the Unofficial Mayor of Scranton, Pennsylvania, and it's a super fun episode.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's great to see what Balz has built post his days of touring. He's built a little gothic empire over there in Scranton, and it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And you spent quite a bit of time with Balz and the Motionless guys on the road. How long did you work for Motionless?
Man, it was probably 8 years or something like that. It was quite a long run, and some of the best times of my life. And you know, I wouldn't be who I am today without it.
Yeah, for sure. And so it was really cool to kind of hear you two specifically go back and forth about a lot of the stuff you two experienced on the road together. And it was interesting to hear Josh talk about his decision to leave touring. You know, that's a big life change for somebody who spends so much time like diving into a specific passion in their life to up and leave and really just shift directions altogether. So it was interesting to hear his perspective on that. You know, he shared a lot of stuff that's been going on in his personal life over the past few years. You know, he's experienced quite a bit of loss and talked a lot about what trying to process that was like for him, while also still trying to run, like you said, his gothic empire, where he's you know, responsible for the livelihoods of a ton of employees and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. It was really interesting, and you know, I really appreciated how vulnerable he was willing to be with us.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to go as deep as he went, and it was great. And then too, to even cap it off with, you know, being back on stage with Motionless at Apocalypse Fest, you know, I was actually there for that as well. And it was, I don't want to say as big of a moment for him as it was for me, but pretty close because, you know, we also got to talk a little bit about how, you know, I manage a young band, Dark Divine, and they opened the show. So that was a really major full circle moment for me, you know, starting my career tour managing them to, you know, present day managing a bunch of bands and having one of my bands open a show that was a tribute to basically a record that really changed the trajectory for the band and our lives as a whole. So
absolutely,
I don't know without Reincarnate if we would have, you know, been where we are. So it was a special moment, and being able to chat with him about that and hear his perspective and kind of air his feelings out got me, like, I felt like some of my feelings were validated in a sense because I was feeling some of the similar things, and you know, not that we just didn't talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a super cool episode. I think there's a little bit of something in there for everybody. If you're a fan of Motionless, you don't know anything about Motionless, you're just interested in music. Yeah, there's something here for everybody. You're going to learn something about Balz, probably even something about Motionless. He really opened up about pretty much everything. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode with Josh Balz. This episode of Lateforloadin is brought to you by Rockabilia.com, your go-to destination for 100% official band merchandise. No bootlegs, no cheap knockoffs, just authentic gear straight from the bands you love. From metal and punk to classic rock and beyond, Rockabilia has over 500,000 items in stock. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, patches, and even rare, hard-to-find collectibles. If you're looking for something exclusive, Rockabilia drops brand new limited edition merch every month. So if you see something you like, grab it before it's gone. And in fact, we just placed an order for some new merch ourselves. I picked up a very, very cool Linkin Park Meteora hoodie. Josh, did you grab something?
Yeah, I grabbed a couple things. I got a super limited Eminem tour shirt, and then what you mentioned not missing out. I saw a Meatloaf tour shirt from 2005 that I really wanted. Unfortunately, they didn't have my size, so I missed out on that one.
Well, there you have it. Don't wait. Our friends at Rockabilia are hooking up Lateforloadin listeners with 10% off when you use code LOAD at checkout. So if your band tee collection needs a refresh and you want to support the artists who make the music we love, hit up rockabilia.com, load up your cart, and drop in code LOAD, LOAD, for that sweet discount. Now let's roll today's show.
Thanks for joining us. Hey, listen, some people have called you now the unofficial mayor of Scranton. Have you heard that?
Do I get paid benefits?
That's between you and the city of Scranton. I don't have any idea. Have you heard that?
I have heard that. And I mean, I guess it's kind of, I mean, I just like to do things where I can drive to, and I live here.
Yeah.
So why the fuck? And I'm bored. So it just becomes a thing, you know? I'm I'm just the only person, not the only person, there's many people, but I'm the only person doing dumb shit in Northeast Pennsylvania. So people take dumb shit and they think it's cool, but it's not. It's dumb. I'm an idiot. I do dumb things. I should have just went to medical school.
My wife is going back to school, and it actually starts tomorrow for her nursing degree.
So she's way smarter than all three of us in this call right now.
All of us, for sure.
I at least once a month, I tell my wife that I should have just been a fucking doctor.
Yep. And
I question all of my life decisions on a regular basis. I think that's pretty standard.
I almost did. I thought about it. So when I think I was 19, this family took me in. They were called the Gorskys. They were very wonderful people. I lived with them for like 2 years. They're like, hey, listen, like, you get along with our family. Like, we're looking like, would you want to go to medical school? We'll pay for it, but you have to work at our practice. And I was like, no, I want to tour. What a fucking mistake. What a mistake. Touring fucking, I hope people that listen to this are in bands and they want to go on touring. You're fucking dumb.
We're going to get into all that. Don't you worry.
So I'm going to be the mayor of hatred on this entire podcast.
That's fine.
How about
Bring it on.
That's fine.
Bring it on. I want you to be honest. And if that's honest, then I want to hear it.
Oh, you're going to get it.
What all do you own now?
I don't even remember.
Because you have like a whole gothic empire.
So I have The Strange and Unusual, Strange Brew, Parlor, the Ritz Theater.
Look, he's got a count on his
Noir.
fingers. Can he get over one hand?
I have rental properties. I have. I did have a thing called Horror Hub, but I sold that recently. I did have a spa and salon. I sold that, and I did have a studio, but I just moved it all home. So as officially
17 bedrooms.
Officially, it's just. I think it's just Parlor, Strange Brew, Ritz, Noir, some property stuff.
How do you have time for anything?
I don't do anything. I hire people to do it now. Which is very nice.
I mean, yeah, that's a smart way to do it. That's a lot of fucking shit to keep track of. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that.
If it wasn't for the people, I say this all the time. If it wasn't for the people that are surrounding me, like, I would fail. Like, you know, we'll dive in there and get really heavy. My mom died a couple months ago, and I've been like, the last 2 months, I've been fucking miserable, uninspired, and I've just been staying away from everything. Everything. I've been home for like 2 months. I mean, but like, usually I'm like giving 16 plus hours a day at businesses, but I've just been like wallowing in self-pity like a pussy for the past 2 months, which I think is kind of fair.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for them, it would all tank into the ground. But I can rely on those people, which is great. So we built an empire, and the people that run it are great people.
Are they gothic?
Talking to that fucking mic.
Are they gothic like you or no? No.
Not all of them.
Okay.
Most of them. A little spooky.
Yeah, scary people. I like it.
I attract the weirdos. You know this.
Well, when you wear shoes that are 7 feet higher than your normal height.
I'm a small boy.
That's true.
6-inch platforms does a boy good.
He's got to assert his dominance somehow, Josh. Come on.
Hey, I'm
Give
with
him a
it.
break.
I get it.
You're a small man too. Don't go talking shit.
We're about the same height.
Yeah, but not with those shoes though.
It gives me into I'm like 6'4" with those shoes on.
I know, it's fucking scary. Like he's a football player or something.
That's a fucking broken ankle waiting.
What is this Sheets Dickies thing? Because I've been seeing the reels.
The best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. You know, I've done such great things in my life, and like when that happened, so Sheets messaged me. They messaged me, and they're like,
bro,
they
messaged the unofficial mayor of Scranton.
They know. So they were like, hey, we're really big fans. We're doing this promotion, and we would love for you to get involved. Would you be interested? And I was like, say less.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, how much do you want? I said, nothing. I said, I want a collab post on Sheets, which is funny because I have more followers than Sheets, but I was like, hey, I told them I want a gold card for Sheets and to be collab posted on Sheets. They're like, well, we can't do that. Will you take some money? So they paid me some money and collab posted, and it just randomly came about, and I thought it was so funny. And I made this. I messaged them. I was like, "Hey, do you guys want this serious or funny?" They're like, "Do it however you want." And I said, "You're not going to approve it." And I did this whole series. I sent to him. I was like, "We're gonna have to redo everything." And they're like, this is the funniest thing we've ever seen. Thank you for not taking this seriously, because the traction did pretty well.
Okay, so 2 things here. One, as a honorary PA resident, because I was in a PA band for a long time, even though I'm a Maryland boy and I'll never not be a Maryland boy, but I feel PA is like a second home to me because of being in Texas for so long. And Sheets is like, that's PA, royalty.
It is.
So that's fucking cool. That's insane. 2, I didn't see this, so I'm going to need a little bit of explanation about what this even is. What did you do with Sheets?
So Sheets and Dickies did this collab. So Sheets wants their merch. They made a whole merch line with Dickies and like a whole thing.
Okay.
And so basically what came about was they're like, hey, we want someone basically like influencer bullshit. Like,
sure.
But they wanted someone that can like sits in that world of like Dickies, but also I'm obsessed with Sheets, and they wanted that whole situation. So we did 2 videos. It was one we did like Jay and Silent Bob style. Me and my friend Dave were like leaning up against the sheets and we're like blah blah blah. And then one was I was working on a car, and then at the end I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. See you later. You have to watch them because they're actually they're pretty funny.
The best one was the peanut butter and jelly, macaroni and cheese, Dickies and Balz. Like
they should do that, and they did. I have a bunch of Sheets and Dickies merch, which is great. Also very cool, but none of it is black, so I don't really wear it very often.
That's incredible. That's insane.
Right, more serious question. When did you realize that you were falling out of love with being on the stage?
That's an easy one. I mean, I was on that Breaking Ben Korn tour. Mm-hmm. I was like, how are we going to do better than this? This is like, there's no way it's going up from here. Like, I had a fiance at home, a house, cars, businesses at that point. And I was like, I would rather be home than on tour. And the second I said, me and Chris were not getting along, like at all. Everyone knows, like, it wasn't Josh, like me and Chris butt heads. It was becoming a very big business. Like, I felt uninvolved. I felt useless. Like, I was a fucking keyboard player. I'm bottom of the barrel. And I was like, do I worry about myself or do I worry about this group that doesn't give a fuck about me at the time, very, very candidly. And so I called Chris one day and I was like, hey, before this turns into something negative, like, I'm done. And it was right before they announced, it was like we were going out with, it was like Slipknot, Bullet for My Valentine. Then it was, and Lamb of God. And then it was Breaking Ben and Korn. And then the next tour was like Falling in Reverse and Crown the Empire. And I was like,
No Issues.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to go back to the Screamo world or whatever, or I want to stay in the radio world or do this. And like, I wanted, I wanted to do that last tour because Chris was like, hey, do you want to do this tour? And I want to do it because I love Ronnie and I love the Crown dudes and I love the Issues guys. And I was like,
Crown on that?
What's that? I think so.
No.
And for those of you who are listening and don't know, Josh is asking questions like that because Josh tour managed Motionless for a long time. So
Crown was not on that.
You'll get personal stuff on this one because Josh was a better part of my life for a good
long time,
almost 10
very
years.
long time,
and vice versa. And to be honest, you're still a very, very great part of my life, and I appreciate
That's
that.
True, but we still work together to this day.
Yeah, I'm drinking this root beer right now.
Yeah, what do you think of it?
The diet?
Yeah, it's like
I like it.
It just needs more flavor. I think
it's a little soft on flavor for sure.
We're working on it,
but it's diet.
It's diet.
Were you afraid to leave the music industry? Because I feel like anybody who's made a career in music, right? Like, that there is some sort of end that's going to come, right? Like, it can't last forever. It just can't. Like, it never does for any artist. So I think that most of us we start thinking about what that end is going to look like and when it's going to happen and what we do next. And I'll be honest, like I've thought about it at multiple points, some of it because it felt like it was getting taken away and some because I just wonder like how much longer I'll be able to do this as a dad and a husband and like thinking about what's next after investing so much of yourself into a specific lane. Like that's fucking scary. Was it scary for you or were you just at a point where you're just like, I have to go do something else?
It's kind of a mixture because it was such my identity because I started playing with the guys when I was 16. Like I was a baby. Like, so it was a lot of my identity. And I thought at the time when I made the decision, I was like, this is the best decision. This is smart. I was so scared and so nervous. And afterwards I was like, I fucked up. Like, this is dumb, but I have to stick to this. I have to, like, this decision that's in my brain. Like, I was so terrified because I was afraid to lose. And everyone loves attention. Everyone has an ego. And when that goes away, it puts you in a place that you technically don't want to be in. And at that point, I was kind of on the outs right after that happened. So I left the band. I kind of lost my shit a little bit and kind of went whatever. My ex-fiance just came off a TV show and she was losing her mind because they like mentally berated her and like mental manipulation. So when she got out, she was trying to figure out her new identity because it was like I was doing this and going crazy with all these people giving me all this attention and it stopped. And now for her, she was now growing into that where everyone was giving her attention. So I was trying to figure out my identity and she was trying to figure out my identity. So then we at that point clashed and we just broke up like a month or so after I left the band. So it was like double identity loss. And I'm like, I'm fucking losing it. So it was terrifying. Yeah. And I was scared and even to this day, I'm still like, did I make the right decision? I mean, I have a great life. I built a giant empire. Wouldn't have been able to do it in the band. But I miss playing. Touring can suck a dick, but so yeah, I was definitely scared. And I'm still like, my brain never fucking stops. I'm like, am I dumb or am I smart or what the fuck is going on?
Is it weird to see how gigantic they have gotten? Because it's weird for me.
Yeah, and it feels fucking terrible.
Really?
For me to be pissed about it is what feels terrible. Like so for a while I didn't even know, for 4 years I didn't even know Motionless existed. I erased it from my life. I was like, this is how, and again, bitter ego child. Sure. Like I had nothing. I would never say anything negative ever. Like I would just be like, because a big giant part of my life was Motionless, and I would never take that away from the fans, the guys, the crews, the nothing. But it really came into realization at those shows. That I played with them, and I went, holy fuck, what has happened?
What was that? What was that like, being back on that stage with them after all those years and going through all that?
Horrible decision.
Really? Why?
I've been so fucked up mentally for the past few months that it's like, I don't know if it's a mixture of, like, my mom passed in the beginning of October. That show was the end of October.
Right.
With that, I haven't been able to like recover mentally, I think, which is crazy. Like, and as an adult, I'm like talking about it, you know?
Yeah.
It's a crazy fucking feeling. I mean, Chris, you know, like you didn't play for years and you come back and you're like, imagine coming back, playing one show and then done. It was almost like, hey, here's what you're fucking missing out on, you piece of shit. And we're going to take this back. Actually, you know what the moment was that really hurt my heart? Because it was fine. There was one moment that night, Josh, you were sitting right there, and Chris, you'll see how fucking terrible this felt. Is I was sitting, I think it was the second day of the show. We're in the back, a bunch of like, I think Josh was there, the band was there, a couple other people, and the arena comes out with these fucking names, these Penguins jerseys with everybody's names on the back.
I felt the same thing.
Here, Chris. Here, Ricky. Here, Ryan. And I'm standing next to them, and I
was right there too.
I was like,
I felt it too, Balz. I'm going to be honest. I felt it too because, and I have never verbalized this until right this second, but they handed their new TM one, and I felt the same thing. And I shouldn't have, because I haven't been a part of them for a long time. But I did I'm like, I don't know, because I don't miss it either.
But here's the thing is that will never not be part of your guy's identity, though. So 100%. I can understand feeling, slighted is not the right word, but like to not be acknowledged in that moment. Like I can understand that feeling, and not to say that you necessarily should have been, because like that totally those two nights were like about the guys who have been,
of course,
grinding it out all along. But I can understand that feeling, and I know that in that situation, I would have been heartbroken as well. Like I totally get what you guys are saying.
Yeah,
I don't think it was slighted. And I know that you use that word for lack of better terms. Right. I felt like, and to be honest, I don't know if it was like a weird sense of like jealousy almost.
That's probably the better word. Yeah,
definitely jealousy. I mean, it sits there. Like I'm jealous. Like very fortunately for me, is those fans still find me, still support my business, still do this stuff. Like it's still very like. When I came out of that stage day one and it was the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life, I was like people still give a fuck. Like, this is crazy. It's amazing. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you're a part of the band's legacy, and you always will be.
yeah,
You helped them get to the point that they're at. Your contribution, whether it was just being the guy on stage or whatever you did behind the scenes, like that will always be part of what got the band to where they are today. And they have such a diehard fan base, which is part of why they are the band they are today. And they are very aware of what you brought to the band. So you'll never not be loved by that fan base, I feel like.
The thing that made you special, though, to that band, now being completely away from it for so long, is the way that you interacted with the fans.
Always.
Because you really had zero problem getting off that stage and getting right down to their level and being one of them with them.
I still do that to this day. Like, people are always like, hey, if I come to this place, will you take a picture with me? And I'm like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have what I fucking have. Like, here's $10. Like, what else do you want?
I literally tell fans that after every show we play that, like, you know, or hang around to meet us or whatever, they're like, you know, thank you for taking the time out of the day. I'm like, you literally don't understand that, like, we almost didn't get to do this again because of the accident. And some of us straight up decided that we didn't want to do it at all, but we decided to do it again because people like you kept saying, we want you back. We need the band back. Like, we literally only are here right now in this opportunity for me to meet you one-on-one right now because of all the people like you. So why would I not take a couple minutes out of my day to at very least say hi and shake your hand? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
That stuff's important.
It's fucking you know what's crazy? And I talk about this once in a while to, like, people when the Ghost Inside comes up, is that shouldn't have fucking happened. Like,
Nope.
we were supposed to be on tour together.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Just a couple weeks later.
Before that.
Oh, that's right.
Only a very few select amount of people know this.
So
I completely forgot about that. That's true.
Of Mice and Men,
Yep.
Motionless,
Yep.
Devil Wears Prada, and The Ghost Inside. We were supposed to be on tour together.
Yep.
And Austin Carlisle, I think, was
Got
still in
sick.
the band at the point.
Yeah,
That's
he got
when
sick.
Disbanded from Of Mice and Men. There was a fucking giant thing.
Mm-hmm.
The tour disbanded. Then we
Wait,
went
I thought
out
he got sick.
His Marfan syndrome, like, got really out of control, and he was in very, very, very bad shape. Yes.
Okay.
Right. And then the tour went away. But, like, at the point and level of bands that we needed a tour to make money. So we tried to do the tour completely. It was supposed to be us, Ghost Inside, Devil Wears Prada, but the Ghost Inside wanted to do another tour, and then it was us and the Devil Wears Prada went out and the Ghost Inside went out. So it shouldn't have happened. It was like a happen of fate. I mean, obviously it could have still happened.
Right.
But you should have been on a different route at that time doing that type of thing. It would have never happened.
Yep.
Like, when I think about that, it's crazy that was all fucking this. And then,
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've gone through every scenario. And I think all of us in the band have gone through every, like, what if scenario of, like, even from, you know, what if our driver showed up 10 minutes late for bus call that night and we left just a little bit later or a little bit earlier? Like, you know, what if that tour, that Of Mice tour happened? Like, I've gone through all of those scenarios, and
yeah.
you know, this is the reality that we were supposed to experience. Unfortunately, you know, I wish it didn't happen this way, but it is what the cards we were handed, and we just, you know, make the best of what we've got now. And I'm thankful that we're even here to get to do it at all. You know what I mean? Like, I think about it so many times, and we probably shouldn't have even made it, but we're here, and the fact that we get to play any shows at all is, like, crazy to me, and I'm just thankful enough for that. You know, so
Yeah. I get to play with you guys next week.
Wait, what are you? Oh, you're on Shiprocked, right?
What are you playing?
So I'm a stowaway. I'm like a secret, like, stowaway. I wasn't supposed to announce it. I was supposed to just show up and do it, but I announced it. I was like, I don't give a fuck. So I'm like a stowaway. They do, like, these little super groups throughout the ship that you play. Like, I'm playing, like, a handful of songs with, like, either Joey Belladonna from Anthrax or the dude from I Prevail, or Tom Hain is playing a bunch of them, and Andy Wood and like Heidi and shit like that from the Butcher Baby. So it's like a whole little, like, thing you play throughout the ship, and it's really fun.
That's so sick.
Yeah, that's cool as hell.
So I was playing Hungry Like the Wolf in the other room, like, 30 minutes
On
ago.
keys?
So we're playing some stuff.
On keys?
On keys. I'm playing keys.
Nice.
That's
Cool.
so sick. I'm
Which is
fucking stoked
terrifying.
for that.
I haven't played in forever, so I'm like, I need to relearn how to play. This is great.
How long after did it take you to find that next passion?
I mean, I was built into passion before I left, which was strange, like, became my baby. Like, the Strange Unusual is my baby. I had 2 locations when I quit, so that became my life. which was strange and which was doing great. And it was a very interesting situation when their oddities places didn't really exist. We were one of our own. Like, I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to do that thing, and that's what I wanted. So my passion was growing, trying to figure out how to build an empire of, like, I knew what I wanted to do. I just needed to figure out how to get there and how to fund it and how to this. And, like, if I want something, I'll fucking go and get it, So it was almost immediate that I was like, I know what my place is. I'm a glorified salesman, you know what I mean? So it's building that situation and trying to sell myself to a mass of, whether it be a restaurateur or a building owner or blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's all part of the, I'm to be honest, I'm very fortunate that that people trust me when I talk to them. That's where it really comes down to. But the passion was built into, being a weirdo, like a fucking spooky goth. Like, when we were in the band, when I was in Motionless, I mean, you can check the lineage of, like, when I left Motionless, they stopped being really a spooky band. Like, they kind of went
interesting.
Very, like, that cyber, like, cooler, like, they look super fucking cool. But, like, when I left Motionless, I stayed being exactly as I left, because that was truly who I am, is just a fucking, my house is black. I'm fucking.
So you're saying
weird.
you're the OG spooky boy then?
I don't know if I would say that, but I would love to say that.
That's interesting. I never really put that to, like, thought about that.
I'm the Godfather.
Did you, the Godfather? So did you hit the ground running on that right away, or did you need to, like, pump the brakes for a minute after the band?
I went fucking hard as fuck.
Okay.
I was like, well, because I didn't want to fail either.
Sure.
I didn't want to leave and become this dude that works, nothing negative about working at Walmart or Kmart or a convenience store or a fucking clothing store.
No, of course not.
I wanted to prove everybody wrong that I made a good decision, because everyone's like, why the fuck would you do that? And I was like, it just feels right. And I didn't want to fail. So I just fucking went.
Fair enough.
It's not a knock to anybody that works a normal life, but
I worked at Kmart. It was fucking sick. I want to get a job right now.
I have my fucking Walmart name tag right here. I'll show it to you.
Nice.
I keep it right here at my desk because
He was the
I always
Lube
say
Express technician.
because I don't want to go back.
And that is how you know Walmart will hire literally anybody.
Hey, they did.
Well,
they fired me too.
In companies like that, you can make six figures all day if you work.
Absolutely.
I had a friend that started in the stockroom and ended up running a Walmart. He had a company car, 6 figures, 401k. Like, I was like, fuck, do I go get a job at Walmart? Like, that's where I'm at right now. Like, everything's running itself, and I'm like, man, I don't have benefits anywhere. And I was like, do I go get a fucking cool job somewhere? Like, I finally have time again, and I'm like, do I do something stupid? Like, I want to get a job at Moe's, and when someone comes in, I want to go, welcome to fucking Moe's. Just get fired immediately. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, nothing against. I'm the kind of guy that I will sweep a floor for $5.
I will attest to that.
Yeah.
Look, I've told my wife a million times, when things get slow with the band, that, like, if it ever gets to the point where I got to, like, I'll do whatever the fuck I got to do to provide for my family. I don't care what the job is. So I don't knock anybody. Do whatever you got to do to make those ends meet. Like,
I will say, I do use the thing that I didn't want to just be normal and go work at AT&T.
Sure.
I never wanted that in my life.
I grew up in a trailer park. No money. Like, I didn't want to go back to that. But now I'm at the point in my life where I want to go back to that. Like, it's all full circle. Like,
it's a bit simpler the other way. Maybe.
I went and looked. So I had my assistant Amber. I had her tally up my monthly expenses. I was like, hey, what does it cost me to live? This was the biggest mistake. Don't ever do this. Like, don't do it. Like, I did it, and I freaked out, and I went, holy shit. I was like, just for me to function, it was like this number, and I was like, this is terrifying. Like, why? I was like, I'm going to go sell everything, get a job at Lowe's, and go back to the trailer park and live the best life I've ever lived. Like,
They say more money, more problems.
I have so many problems and not enough money.
Just don't get as many problems as Jay-Z.
As who?
Jay-Z. You don't want those.
He's
problems.
got 100. He's got 100 right now.
Yeah, he is.
You don't want. He's got 100 right now for sure.
Yes, he does. Yikes.
You don't want those problems. Listen. Oh man, I wish mine was around. I don't know where he's at right now. He's somewhere. But those things are the fucking best. And I fell in love. Is that Pia?
This is Moon.
Okay. I fell in love with this hairless cat when I went to Balz. Do you remember when they got in the fight and Pia got the nail stuck in his eyebrow?
Yeah.
I still have that picture in my phone.
Yikes.
But I fell in love with that breed of cat. I'm not a cat guy. I had cats growing up.
They're not really cats.
They're not. We call him an alien.
Yeah, that's fair.
He sleeps with his head on my pillow.
Yeah, I literally Peep comes right here, and I squeeze him when I sleep. I go like this, and Moon sleeps in between my legs, and it's like
it's
he's
insane.
And he fucking breathes in my face.
It's insane.
He's a scumbag. I'm gonna punch him in the right where
it is insane.
He's a boy. He's a boy. He's just a boy.
If you think back, what was the first band that you saw that made you think, I got to do that?
Atreyu.
Interesting.
All right.
I've seen a bunch of bands when I was younger, but I remember going to Warped Tour and watching Atreyu in like 2000 something.
Don't show your age.
Don't.
Just keep going.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Atreyu, and I actually, for a long time, I had the Monster Water that I don't even know who the fuck, it was probably Dan or something, threw out, and I kept it for a long time. But I remember being like, this is the coolest fucking thing. Like them, Story of the Year, a bunch of random shit. But I remember just being like, I loved Atreyu. Like, and we all did. I mean,
they were one of my favorite bands for a long time.
I had Live, Love, Burn, Die tattooed across my stomach.
And Chris has it on his fucking throat.
I had it on my stomach until I got all the shit covered up. I loved that band.
I love that band. And it's crazy to like this. It's crazy also like being friends with a lot of these iconic things. Like, actually, speaking of, which is crazy, we never like toured with Under Oath. We played with them a bunch. We never like did this thing while I was with them, while I was with Motionless. And it's crazy. So the other day, recently, the keyboard player from Under Oath followed me on Instagram.
Chris is the biggest sweetheart ever.
And I was like, this is crazy.
Do you want to hear a funny story? When they announced the Rebirth, I wanted to see that show bad because I loved those records. And I didn't get to see it because we were on tour. So I missed it. And then Ron Gardner hit me up and was like, hey, do you want to come do the UK, Europe version of that tour? And I was like, I'll just go for free. I just want to watch the fucking show every day. I don't give a damn. I want to go do it. So I ended up going doing it. I was terrified because I had always heard these horror stories of Aaron. Everybody was telling me like Aaron is a pain in the ass. Aaron is this, Aaron is that, blah, 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 blah. I had always heard these horror stories of Aaron. I'm like, so I'm scared. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know one crew guy. I just fly to Europe by myself, meet up with them. Probably the best dudes I've ever toured with.
Hands down.
Me and Aaron hit it off immediately because he's just a fucking Florida redneck. Mm-hmm. He likes to fish. He likes to hunt. He likes to do the same shit I do. We hit it off immediately. Yeah, and those dudes they're the best. That
record really put me into, like, again, I think it was Atreyu and Under Oath are really crazy. And I've made friends. I love Brandon, and he's been nothing but nice to me from Atreyu. But there's two keyboard players that really like why I was like how I was, and that was Chris from Under Oath and the fucking, what the fuck is his name? The keyboard player from Emery. I don't know if you guys remember that band.
I do.
Those were my two like favorite keyboard players, and the keyboard player from Devil Wears Prada I always like kept my eye on, and that's one of the reasons why Motionless even probably has a keyboard player, is probably that growth of Drop Dead Gorgeous, Devil Wears Prada, Under Oath. Like, we wanted to be like those bands. We thought they were super fucking cool. So what really molded me into who I wanted to be was definitely Atreyu and Under Oath, and that kind of style. So it really does show in a lot of early Motionless stuff. Also, I don't know if you hear these giant fucking trucks outside my house.
Are they building your next mansion? Is that what's happening out there?
A new fucking sewer line. It's so loud.
His pool with a Gato and all the bullshit.
Crazy.
I wish that, man, I'm just sitting there thinking about these records because you're talking about them, right?
You know what's crazy? I can't even hear you right now. That's how loud it is.
Oh.
Do you guys not hear it?
Oh, I can hear it, but it's not that loud on our side.
Holy shit.
You can't, because I'm thinking about like They're Only Chasing Safety and Suicide Notes, but then I'm also thinking about when I first heard Right Side of the Bed from Atreyu. That was the first song that they released off The Curse. I remember it so vividly. I was living at my friend's house, and our only computer was up in his mom's bedroom, and it was a dial-up internet at the time, and I listened to that song probably 5 times over because it was so good.
Oh yeah, it still holds up.
I just wonder, like, do kids these days feel the impact of music like we felt when we were young?
I think people do.
They have to.
I think, I was kind of impartial about that, but I think we're just older. I remember when Define the Great Line came out, and I went down the day before it came out down to the record store, and they gave me the fucking record. Like, hey, we're about to close, but I'm putting these on the shelf for tomorrow. Take this, don't tell anybody.
Sick. Yeah,
and I fucking freaked out in my basement. We listened to it, me, my friend, Joe Sweeney, Joe Crescio, like Josh Senchek, me, like we were all fucking freaking out on that album. And then, but I realized it recently. I went and saw Pierce the Veil. They did a headlining fucking arena show in New York. And I went up there and I could not believe, like, I was like, I stood in the back what people like walked by me and the things that they were saying. Like, you can tell people are still very passionate about new things. It's just the younger demo that we don't deal with.
Yeah, I think it's people are consuming music in a very different way than they did when we were first getting, like, no one's going out and buying a physical CD, and like you're forced to consume an album as an album in the way that we grew up listening to music. People just are streaming stuff, but they're definitely like they're still having the same impact. They're just finding it in different places and consuming it in different ways than we used to. And we're just getting old and we're jaded and grumpy. And, I think the music may not be impacting us the same way it did when we were kids, but like,
I hate music.
well, that's unfortunate seeing as you work in music.
I'm curious though. My curiosity comes from this, right? Like, how does music affect you the same when the turnover rate today is so different? Back then, when we bought an album, like I remember you remember where I lived. Oh, yeah. I remember skateboarding to the mall, which was like probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get Slipknot's Iowa record.
Sure.
And that was the only record that I could spend time with until I could afford to buy another one.
That's a good shout.
And I would read the lyrics. I would absorb the artwork throughout the entire booklet.
Their thank yous, that was my favorite.
The thank yous.
I read the thank yous too. Yep.
I remember when I was able to record my very first CD that I got to put out, and I was so excited to write a thank you list because because I grew up reading those thank you lists, and I was like, man. And then I remember when I saw my name in the first one, because again, I grew up reading those, and I was like, fuck, those guys must be cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like, but my question is when you are forced to spend, because when I was young, and I'm sure it was the same for y'all, music was everything. It was my escape. When my parents pissed me off, fuck you, I'm going in my room and I'm turning my music up as loud as I can, and I want y'all to hear it just like I'm listening. You know what I mean? So, but when I was forced to spend that amount of time with that music, and only that music, it's different now, because now you listen to one song and then flip, you're on the next and on the next and on the next, and maybe you don't even go back to that song. But that record, I had to listen to over and over and over again. You understand what I'm saying?
What was in, I'm trying to think what was in, I had a 6-disc CD changer in my bedroom when I was young. And I think it was him, Razor Blade Romance, Blink 182, self-titled, maybe? I don't know. Armor for Sleep, What You Do to Get into Heaven, or whatever that record was called. Queen, because I fucking love Queen. That like greatest hits album thing. Mm-hmm. What else was in it? I'm trying to think what else I was listening to at like that young age of like 13, 14.
What was your first CD?
Shaggy.
Sick. I had the Shaggy CD too.
Shaggy and NSYNC, I think, were my two.
Damn.
And then Chronic.
Good record.
Yeah.
My first CD ever was Greatest Kiss. I got it in a stocking. Santa Claus gave it to me.
You still believe in Santa, huh?
I got a 10-year-old.
That didn't answer the question.
He's got to.
Deflect.
I ain't got no choice.
You have to.
My first that I spent my own money on was NSYNC No Strings Attached.
I believe that.
Great record.
Fantastic record. And I'm not even ashamed of that answer.
You shouldn't be.
First one I spent my money on, I think him.
I don't remember the first one I spent my money on, but the one that I can remember spending my own money on, I got from Blockbuster, and it was Busta Rhymes.
Holds up. And we're getting little samplers. That was my favorite, and I'm bummed that no one does that anymore.
Dude, I discovered so many awesome bands getting like walking out of a show and like somebody on a street team just handing out like Victory or Trustkill or Ferret samplers.
Trustkill, Tragic Hero, Fearless, like there was so many good samplers.
Yep.
I learned every band from samplers, every single one, and I guess that's the Spotify playlist now.
Yep. You know what they used to
Essentially.
do? They used to do free radio shows. Remember those, Chris?
Yep.
Did you go with me to see Papa Roach and Head PE?
All right. Balz, you got to understand.
This is going to be a fun.
You got to understand.
This is going to
This
be fun.
is a thing that Josh does to me on a regular basis where he'll just be like, hey, did you go to this like XYZ super sick lineup show back in like the early 2000s that he knows damn well I didn't go with him to? And he went to all these sick shows without me? No, I didn't go to that show with you. This happens like once this happens like once a month where he brings
up. I ask you because I don't remember.
He brings up a really sick show. He's like, remember that one show we went to? I'm like, I didn't go to that. Thanks.
Balz, do you know the history between him and I?
I don't. Now that he says like Maryland, I thought he was always a PA guy. I didn't even know Maryland was a thing.
I've known Chris since he was 11 years old. The first time I met his mom, she
what to his mom?
Chris skipped school with one of our friends, and his mom and I was going up to their house to meet them, and his mom was out there because she caught him skipping school and freaked out on me. And I don't even know if I knew Chris was there at the time.
Oh, you knew.
Oh, okay. Maybe
How much older? How old were you?
I'm 38.
I'm 35, so 3 years older.
So 3 years.
He wasn't in school though.
He was in 6th grade. I was in 8th grade or 9th grade.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure you had
got expelled or something.
Yeah, you just weren't in school for one reason or another. Yeah, so Josh and I played in my first band ever when I was an actual child in my grandparents' basement. Like we've been pissing each other off for over 20 years now.
Yep.
Nice.
But speaking of going way back though, like what was the local scene like when Motionless was like first starting out? Like what was it like was it Scranton?
I mean, we did like Pittston, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area. It's like a whole jumble. Like no one really liked us when we first started. It was tough. Like, so when you think of, well, you guys don't know, but when like we think of Wilkes-Barre, it's hardcore. Like Wisdom in Chains, fucking Cold World, that morphed into Title Fight and Tiger's Jaw and stuff like that. It was very like, we were the only like screamo band that existed in our area. No one really like was stoked on us, but our local scene itself was unreal. Like if you went to a local show in Northeast Pennsylvania, there'd be hundreds of people. Like that's fucking unheard of now. Like a small show in Northeast PA in those times was like 80 to 120 people. And now to get to all locals to draw more than fucking like 30 is impossible now. But yeah, it was like 75 to 150 people every time there'd be a local show playing at fucking VFWs and Italian Citizens Club and the Germania Hose Co. Like they were cool. Like we did fests. There were so many bands, but it took a long time for people to love and understand Motionless because I think they thought we were just like a bunch of idiots that didn't know what we were doing because we weren't. And that turned into, but we had a great local scene. And that's why I'm trying to be a person that brings that back with my venue. So hopefully that does come back, and it's definitely growing. I've definitely seen it. It's been a long time that there hasn't been anywhere for people to play, and now it's like venues are popping up all over the place.
I wonder if that's like a weird era thing too, because where I grew up in Mount Airy, Maryland, I used to put on shows at our local fire hall. Like I booked Josh's band Sky Tells All there a couple times. And like I played there all the time with like, the In Alcatraz 1962 guys, like played there with them all the time. And there could be a show there on a random Wednesday night with only local bands. And like you said, like 200 people would show up. Like my old local band's last show was on Halloween and it was like 350 people. It's packed in there. Like it didn't matter. Any bands would play. It didn't matter who it was. People would just go just because it was something to do. And now they don't even do shows in that town anymore because no one will show up. And I wonder what changed, because it sounds like it may have been something of that time period where people just like everyone was just going to a show if there was a show, and it's not like that anymore.
It's really expensive to be a band and people don't want to be a band because no one is attention, but it's the oversaturation of everything.
That's true.
People think there's nothing to do, but what would you do if there's nothing to do? We used to just go out. What you do now is you scroll on TikTok, you go on Facebook, you do this shit. It's the oversaturation of life, where something that now to garner your attention. I battle with this every day owning businesses, like how to get people's attention to whatever. But most of the time people would rather stay at home and put on one like back then we didn't have instant gratification of TV shows.
Sure.
Like, but now you can watch anything, anytime.
You can binge an entire series in one night if you want.
So you can be like, man, I'd rather just stay home and binge this and scroll on TikTok. I do it all the time. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm just going to like stay at home, sit and scroll when there's like shit that I could be doing. But back then, that's what it comes down to is like, would you rather spend $25 and stand up and hurt your back? Or,
Nope.
you know, just sit down in the comfort of your own home. People are very like, in introverts now, like it's become a thing where it's people don't want to be around people. So it's the oversaturation of overstimulation that makes
Such a bummer.
people not want to do shit. And I've been like studying this the last like little bit because again, like market research and things with like products and sales and this stuff, it really comes down to is like how do you garner people's attention when they're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Netflix, Peacock, Hulu, Disney Plus, fucking, there's so much, you know, back then it'd be like, all right, we post this new thing on MySpace and 10 million people would see it.
Yep.
And that was it.
It's a bummer. And it's something because we have kids, Chris and I, and, you know, you're thinking about our early childhood development and our early manhood development, I guess, for lack of better terms. Like, a lot of it came from those experiences that these kids are not going to get. And that's kind of scary when you think about it. You know, like I got a 16-year-old stepdaughter, right? And you can tell the way that she interacts with other kids that she doesn't go out very often because they know how to interact behind a screen, but face-to-face interaction, like that's going to hurt when they have to go get jobs. That's going to hurt when they have to go away to college and they don't know how to interact with. It's going to, I mean, the world is going to have, the world is a mean motherfucker, man.
Are your kids homeschooled or are you?
No. They go to school. Yeah, they go to school, but still.
That. And the thing is like the public school system or the private school system is all trash, but
Totally.
One good thing about it is talking to people and having those, like a lot of people are homeschooling their kids. And I think it's a much better idea for education, but not for social interactions. And I think they have to be able to like, if you're homeschooling your kid, send your kid to fucking karate or fucking soccer or
my son's
something.
in crazy competitive soccer, but I will, this is probably going too far down a rabbit hole, but I have this weird thing about education because I didn't go to school. Chris will tell you.
Oh, we know.
I did not.
No one's confused about that.
But I have done just fine in my life. And I learned through real life experiences and making mistakes, right? Like that's what I tell.
Confidence is a big part of that.
Well, yes. But where did that come from? Because I don't know where that came from. I fucked up a lot of times, and that's where I learned from. By making those mistakes and realizing, well, fuck, I just did that, and I don't like the way that made me feel or that person felt, so I shouldn't do that way again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's crazy that like that everyone notice it, and it's not like, and the thing is like with that it's happening, but you don't know how to stop.
Yeah, that's emotion.
Crazy.
Can't control that.
Today's show is sponsored by Asesinato Tequila. Behind every great show is a great story. And behind every great story,
a great drink. Asesinato Tequila, award-winning, all-natural, and built for the moments that matter. And now it's easier than ever to get. Just go to thebesttequilaever.com and have it shipped straight to your door. Must be 21 or older. Pour up, tune in, and enjoy the ride. Best enjoyed in good company.
we all know that music isn't just sound, it's connection, it's healing, it's everything when you're feeling lost. That's why Lateforloadin is partnering with Heart Support, the nonprofit founded by Jay Klurs of August Burns Red to bring real, free peer support straight to you.
Are you feeling down and need someone to talk to? Just text Lateforloadin to 1-512-647-2871 and get connected with someone who understands, someone who gets how music pulls us through the hardest times. It's totally free, totally judgment-free, and 100% about supporting you through the music we love.
And if you're in a good place right now, you can be part of healing the scene. Heart Support is looking for volunteer repliers, fans like you who want to help others through the power of music. You'll be trained to support fellow fans who are struggling and join a community community built on connection, mental health, and the music that keeps us going.
And again, if you need support, text late for load in to the number 1-512-647-2871. If you want to be support, sign up at heartsupport.com/volunteer. Together, we're making this scene stronger.
Today's episode is brought to you by you, our incredible listeners and patrons over at patreon.com/LFLIpod. By joining, you'll get early access to episodes, exclusive monthly giveaways featuring rare memorabilia from Josh and I's time on the road, and access to our patron-only music review and reaction live streams. But that's not all. You'll also get into the Late for Load-In Road Crew Discord, where you can connect with fellow fans, submit guest requests, and drop your questions for the show. The best part? It's just $1 a month. If you love what we're doing and want to help keep the show rolling, head over to patreon.com/LFLIpod and join the road crew today. Now, back to the show.
Listen, when Motionless turned into a business instead of playing in a band with my friends, a hobby, how did that feel? What was that like?
I never portrayed it as that. It was always just hanging out with my friends, doing cool shit. And I think when it did, you knew when it, I mean, I'm not going to talk about it. You know when it came and turned into a business.
But do you understand why it had to?
Oh, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
when we had to hire business managers and management and this stuff and that stuff and like adult management and this, and it's like when our success fed people. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm, totally.
Like
People that weren't in the band.
Yes, exactly. Like, because we didn't give a fuck. Like, up until most of the band, I was sleeping on my grandmother's couch or couch hopping in someone else's house. Like, Angelo, like, we lived in a $400 a month apartment for a while. Like, Chris lived with his parents, Ryan lived with his parents. We were just there for the fucking fun of it. Mm-hmm. And then when you realize, like, even like now being a business owner, like, it's the same thing. It's like when your success relies on feeding people's children, or making their car payment, or and I realize that now is like, if I fail now, there's like 30 plus 40 people out of jobs and have to feed their children and have their car payment or make their mortgages or rent. Like, that's when it became a business, and it was never self-serving. It was always, and we were all like that. Like, we all cared about everybody else before we ate, and to a problem, to an issue.
Do you think that's why you started feeling like you were detaching yourself? Did it lose some of the fun?
I didn't purposefully detach myself. When you start to deal with management and things, like, they don't want all the cooks in the kitchen. Like, they don't. They want to talk to one person. And then they want that person to reiterate that stuff. It's like, that's how it is. You don't want to hear 19 fucking, as Josh, as as a manager, and you guys know, it's like, this is real shit. Like, no one wants to talk to the bass player or the keyboard player or the guitar player. They want to talk to who are the main writers and who are the main decision makers. And then you can fucking talk to that. And I wanted to be one of those people to a flaw that affected, I think it seemed like I wanted to take over, where realistically I was freaking out, being like, I'm the lowest on the totem pole. So let me overexert myself into a flaw where that did, I think that hurt the relationship, in which I see that now, and it's fine. But yeah, that's how it is, and it's just a part of it. And like, no management or this or that or labels, they don't give a fuck about what a keyboard has to play, unless I started the band and I was the decision maker. That's it.
Do you feel like you may have put yourself in that place? And the only reason I ask that is because I feel like I approach things differently than what your perception of management would be. Sure, yes, there's always a path to, there's one guy who does the business side, there's one guy who handles the creative side, but I always make it such a point to like, I want everybody, if anybody has a question at any point in time, I want you to pick up the phone and I want you to call me. And it doesn't, and it can be either a group,
it never
can be a
feels
group
like
call,
that.
but I mean, and maybe I approach it differently based on my own personal experiences, but I try to make it a point that, and I will reach out to different people for different things purposely, because I want them to feel a part of everything.
Now, I think there's two things happening here, because I can see where this is coming from both sides. Like, Balz, I totally get it. Like, and this is not a knock to TGI's management, because I fucking love our team so much.
No.
I think that there's some of the best people that I've ever dealt with in any part of the music industry, and I
look up to them greatly.
Dude, they're the best team. But they definitely have a point guy in the band that they go to for stuff, and I can understand why that is. Like, when we do have group calls, stuff does tend to go off the rails because everybody always wants to have an opinion just for the sake of having an opinion on stuff. And it's not always productive. So I understand why they operate the way that they do, but it can definitely leave you sometimes feeling like I'm just a cog in this, and I'm like not actually, they don't feel like I have value in this. Like, I definitely find myself at different times going like, these people don't think that I'm like worth calling and asking things. And I know that's not the case.
That's the thing.
It's happening in my head. I know that's not true, but it's going on in my head. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what happens to every band member that's not the dude.
Yes. And I know it's not just me, because it happens with some of the other guys too. And then we all end up having to have a band conversation about it. And then we all do come to the realization of like, the only place that is the reality is in our minds. Like, that's not at all what our team's doing. Our team's trying to be as productive as they can be. And efficient, and relaying relaying information in the most efficient way possible. It's not a personal thing whatsoever. But it is definitely everybody just wants to feel like they're like contributing and they're valuable in the process. Everyone
loves getting their ego stroked or getting attention, even if they say they don't. It's just a part of what it is. Like, whether you're never going to be a singer. Thankfully for me, like, some weird fucking thing happened where I became like a dude. I think it was because my last name was Balz. Let's be realistic.
It's a pretty good last name.
Who I was, and I was loud, and I talked too much, and I did talk to fans. So, on that side, I felt very loved and taken care of. But then on the back end, I felt very ignored and again, it was, I would guess 85% probably in my brain, which everybody self-sabotages herself, and that's what it was. I was also in my 20s, so I was a child, and I was figuring it out. I was figuring life out, and I would still be in the band today, I think, if I didn't quit. I think it would have been, me and Chris would have butt heads a bunch. We would have had a conversation. We would have figured something out, or it would have been we just killed each other, which was the other option. But I think I needed to find myself in that time. So that management situation and that like whole thing, like, it's mostly in your head, but that's what was in my head at the time, where I was like, why do I feel like no one gives a fuck what I have to say? When in regards, whatever I had to say probably wasn't that useful.
Sure. No, I can totally relate to that feeling. I 100% get where you're coming from on that. And Josh, I think that you handle it the way that you do because you can come at it from a guy who was in a band and a guy who worked day to day, hands-on with a band, and you're seeing all of these different dynamics from the inside. You're hearing that Balz is feeling that way, or Ryan's feeling this way, or whoever. Like, you're seeing that inner dynamic. So that gives you really good insight on how to treat your artists that you work with.
I think that's fair.
Never really thought of that.
If you manage a band, you should have to go on tour.
I agree.
You're allowed to manage a band.
2,000%. I never have understood that. There's some managers that have never been on tour and they're great managers, but I just don't understand how you can ask me any sort of question about the car business, because I don't know a fucking thing about it, and I have no idea how to advise you anything about a car business. So I should probably never go into the car business. That's my personal opinion. But again, it works for some people. I just don't know, man. There is so many things that we had to just figure it out. That I can't teach you how to do this. You have to experience this stuff. And that's what goes back to what I was saying about the kids and things like that. Like, man, bands are blowing up on TikTok these days that have no clue what it's like to be in a band.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy, but hey, and it's not a knock. It works, but it's
a little bit of a knock. You can say that.
I mean, we ate some real piles of dog shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, I ate piles of dog shit all the way up until my first tour with TGI, and even that wasn't
raw,
wasn't
warm.
Yeah, and even my first TGI tour wasn't glamorous by any means. It was just a fucking upgrade from where I started.
It was like fucking terrible. I slept under the van, on the van, in the van, in people's houses. We've drove, I remember the longest, you want to know the longest drive I ever fucking drove? Josh, you might have been there, was 21 hours. I drove, and you know why I drove 21 hours? It was for a $25 Applebee's gift card because I was fucking hungry, because a fan gave the band an Applebee's gift card, and I was like, I'll drive this entire drive from here to here if I can have that gift card myself. And I fucking drove 21 fucking hours.
Jesus Christ, dude.
For
Me and Rick
$25 Applebee's gift
used
card.
to climb in dumpsters and get bagels.
The bagel place. Oh my God.
Do you remember the time that the cop stopped us?
No.
Out behind, I think it was behind Einstein Bagels, and he was like, if you guys are that hungry.
Yes. I didn't know the
I'll
cops
give
were there, but I
you
remember going in that
$5
dumpster because they just
or
threw
something
them
like
away.
Bro, good bagels.
Good bagels.
We would eat on those bagels for days.
Dude, the grind in the early days is fucking real, man. Like,
I
feel like people don't
understand
understand how not glamorous it can be when you're trying to get a band off the ground.
You're carny. You're just carnies.
Yeah.
I just wish that kids would know that, would understand.
I miss that.
I
Sure.
do too.
There's a
I
part
do
of me.
too.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Would I go do that again right now?
Absolutely not.
At my current age and the state of my body and my
No chance.
mental health, not a chance. But
No.
but do I still hold a like really fond memory of all of those days? Like, yeah, absolutely. There's some of the best times of my
best times of our
entire
life.
life, and I would not
Absolutely.
go back and take any of them away, even the bad.
There was
ones.
no care.
Yeah.
There was no care.
I had nothing. I had no debt, no nothing. I had
We didn't care.
didn't give
Well,
a
we
fuck.
didn't care.
I was ready
We
to
didn't
tour.
care where we were sleeping.
365 days a year. I was ready to tour always.
We didn't care where we were playing. We didn't care what the show looked like. As long as there was kids there and we could have a good fucking time, we didn't give a damn. We had a grill. We were fucking grilling out with our friends. We were, it was
It was the coolest time ever, and I've been chasing the feelings all the time, and it's crazy. Nothing feels like that. Nothing. Like, I've bought buildings, I've made millions of dollars, I've fucking done this and that, but nothing has touched that, a feeling of be like going and traveling with 5 or 6 of your best friends and just not giving a fuck about whether you want to go home or not. You just want to fucking be out and do dumb shit and try to figure out how to get to the next show, or like fight with a promoter about getting paid $75. I remember fighting to get $75 to get to the next show because it was us and Jamie's Elsewhere, which Aaron is now singing for Of Mice and Men.
Yep.
Which is
wow,
fucking crazy.
I didn't know that. Whoa, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
He joined the band to play bass and sing for a few years, and then he just took over singing after Austin
I
left.
did not know that's who that was.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy.
$75, and now what's Motionless is guaranteed $75,000 to $125,000 to like
Probably.
$50,000. Like, that's fucking crazy to think about. Like,
I know.
I remember hounding promoters for $75.
I remember when we played a show in the Midwest one time, and it was a corner stage. I remember the room. I could see it, and the guy didn't pay us, and I had to send him to an ATM.
Remember that?
To get our money, and I think he owed us $150 or something.
I remember that.
I've got 2 like that. My very first tour ever with my old local band, a promoter booked us on a show at Vaudeville Muse in Des Moines, and we got all the way there, and the venue was open, but no band showed up. Promoter never showed up. He never put tickets on sale.
That's nice.
And he never answered a phone call.
Nice.
And then my first tour with Texas, we played in Chicago. Band showed up. We loaded in, played the show. Promoter never showed up. So the entire tour package went to the promoter's house and got our money.
Oh, that's nice.
Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Hey.
Gotta do it.
I also want to go back to, Josh, you said bands are blowing up on TikTok, but I will say it may have been to a smaller degree, but there was definitely a MySpace explosion as well. It didn't, the explosion was not the same as when a band goes viral on TikTok, but it was still happening in the era that we were starting to get into this world too.
We
You
got
know, like
some,
it,
we got
definitely
some,
a
like,
thing.
traction on MySpace for sure. Like, that was a big, we used to go, we're going on like the Devil Wears Prada's fucking, they'd post a video and be like, you should listen to Motionless in White. We sound like the Devil Wears Prada.
Right.
Or going to Under Oath and be like, we sound like Under Oath. Like, MySpace definitely helped Motionless in the early days. And that would be the closest to what that would be the closest to TikTok. And
Yeah.
you know, I agree. I think that is a crazy thing to think about. That was our virality, which was MySpace.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about, you know, like MySpace era for our world was definitely the explosion of like deathcore and stuff. Like, think about like Suicide Silence and like Job for a Cowboy and all those bands. Like, they all fucking exploded because of MySpace.
Yep.
It's crazy. Like obviously very different than like, you know, fucking Sleep Token or a Bad Omens, who are all like, you know, basically arena acts now because they put out great music and they're great bands, but they both exploded on TikTok, and it obviously accelerated their growth big time.
But think about how quick it happens.
Oh, I know.
Like, dude,
I know.
look at this poster right behind me is from 2 years ago, and Bad Omens was opening that.
Yep. Which is fucking crazy to
We
think
had
about.
Bad Omens on. We did when we were doing Twitch Space Zebra. We had them play our 1 year anniversary show, and it was a free show, and 250 people showed up.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now it would be fucking insane.
They headlined Mayhem Fest.
Yeah.
It'd be fucking wild.
It's
nuts.
crazy.
It's nuts how fast bands can grab, but it's also like crazy how hard it is to get to any kind. If you don't grab, like I work with a couple bands, and no one gives a fuck. If you don't have 100,000 plus streams a month, you can go fuck yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's crazy.
There's nothing you can do. And that would be like me going, and that's me like being like, hey guys, we worked together for 10 years. Can you throw me a bone? Nah. Like,
dude,
fuck.
It's the biggest lesson I had to learn when I was trying to get into management is that favors don't exist. It's fucking weird. It was something that was a really hard ego blow for me, because like I felt like I had all these friends, but the truth was that if I didn't have something that was of value to them, that they didn't have time for me.
Yep.
And it was like, man, but we're friends. Like if we talk about sports or we talk about this, like you got all the time in the world, but to talk about my band, you don't have time for me. It was really, really difficult. And it's weird now having things that are of value to these people that now they have time for me again. It's weird in a sense that like, I don't hold grudges, so I don't really care, but I remember things, you know, but it also is like the other side of it is like, man, it's really cool to be able to have these conversations and do these things with my peers again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like there's two sides of it. Like, but damn, it was tough, man. It was tough. And I don't know. It's weird.
It's fucking dumb. Fucking like, and that's the thing where like when I came out with Space Zebra with Bobby and Wes and like did that thing, it like re-engaged people to be like, hey, you're important. Like my face was on a fucking billboard inside of all these giant 40,000 people a day festivals. And then it came out of the woodwork again. Like, hey, how can you help me get this and that? And like, I would definitely help some people and try to do things. Like I remember when we did fucking the home team on Space Zebra.
Yep. And you were one of the first people that even gave us a chance. Yeah,
because again, like Josh has been there from day one. I'm going to be there for the rest of our lives, and like that's how the world should work.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then like it's crazy that it doesn't do that. But and then like when that Space Zebra shit went away, like we were the biggest fucking thing. We were giving people spots on the giant festivals. We were fucking millions of views and stuff like that. But then when that went away, it's almost like, all right, I'll go fuck myself again.
What was that like though? Like to get to that with Danny Wimmer and all of them. Like, do you remember our first Danny Wimmer festival?
Was it Rockville?
Rockville. Yeah.
And what was it, Jacksonville?
Florida. Yeah, Jacksonville. Yeah.
Remember, was that with Limp Bizkit or was?
Yeah. Yes, I think it might have been.
I remember. So Chris, Fred Durst goes like this. He goes, "Take it to the Matthews Bridge," and he pointed to the Matthews Bridge.
So
and it was
sick.
The greatest day of my life.
It was cool as shit.
We were just like,
Chris has the same booking agent as Limp Bizkit.
I do.
But you're not on tour with them, huh?
I'm a little fucking pissed we haven't even gotten a single show with them. Mr. Storch is going to get a stern talking to at some point.
Yeah, he has
Storch
to get
books
one.
Biscuit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
man, that guy's a machine.
Every time I talk to
best,
Storch, he's
man.
booking someone else crazy. It's nuts. He's the best dude, so it makes sense.
So I tried to get you guys as an underplay in my theater, and I talked to Storch, and like it was right around when you guys were doing that Lancaster show.
Yeah.
Richmond's Red. And I was like, hey, let's do a pop-up. I know I don't have the cash to afford it. I was like, I'll give you. I was like, if you just let them play here.
You shouldn't
and he was
say
like,
this
I'll
on-
think about it.
I'll beep it out. Look.
Oh yeah.
We would have done it for fucking free. We'd come play your fucking venue
you know
just to
what?
come play your
Fuck
venue.
you. No, you wouldn't. Everybody says that.
I'm not kidding. Like, we'll just, especially if we're in the general area, we'll just fucking come play, dude.
This diet root beer warm, not that
Oh,
great.
root beer warm is not it.
Yeah, it's not good. Anyway, all right, listen. So you talked about losing your mom a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Did you lost your dad right?
Yeah, I'm just a fucking orphan now.
Right, shortly before that, though, right?
It's been a couple of years.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. How did you cope with that and managing work and all that stuff together? Like how? Because I know that it's something that I always fear, Chris Motionless and I used to talk about the dreaded call all the time, like when we were gone and something happened, and it happened to me one time. My parents are still here, but like, you know, how I just can't. How did you deal with it?
I do this coping mechanism where I just fucking just work and I put myself and I ignore it, and I don't know how to deal with emotions very well.
I for some reason had a feeling that was going to be your answer.
Yeah, and
because I can relate to that.
Terrible. It's not the way you should do things. I should have went to therapy after my dad passed, but I just worked, and getting that phone call fucking sucked. He had a heart attack. They found him on his kitchen floor. It was in COVID. It was because he had a heart attack, and we couldn't have a funeral. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't do shit. It was super rushed. He got cremated. It was fucking like it didn't fucking happen.
Yeah.
So I'm still in denial to this day that he's even fucking dead. Like, It's crazy. But I mean, once in a while it'll hit me. Like, he was always a dude that I called to help me build shit or something. And I remember being in this house when I bought this house, painting a wall and just being like, who can I call to help me? I have nobody. And I picked up my phone, and like one of my last calls was Dad's cell. And I fucking just laid on the floor and cried. And like, it was pretty brutal. But losing my mom was interesting because losing my dad was crazy. Like, he was, I thought he was healthy as fuck. Like, that dude would punch through my body. Like, he was strong as fuck. Like, he was almost 70 years old, benching like 350 pounds, like a machine, like military. I was like, this dude's never gonna fucking die.
He looked like the Terminator.
He was fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And then my mom, I knew it was gonna come eventually because she never took care of her body. She was a severe alcoholic, like smoked like a chimney. But it was, I didn't want it to happen. And it was something so fucking stupid. It was pneumonia, and she refused to go to the doctor. She sat in her house, and then by the time she got there, her body was so, like, I had to pull the plug on my fucking mother. Like, it was, I held my mom's hand and watched her die, and I went to work the next day.
Fuck, man.
It was like it was like 2 days. And my employees were like, please go home. And I was like, I can't, because I don't know how to do that. It was October also, like the first week of October, which you guys know.
Yeah.
Is like, I couldn't, if I broke down and left, the world would have ended.
Yeah.
And I knew that. And again, that goes back to like feeding people's families and whatnot. But it was terrible. But I knew it was like, I kind of knew it was going to happen eventually. And it's still like, I'm still fucking, it's been 2 months.
I mean, that's a pretty fresh wound.
It's pretty crazy. And like, I'm still miserable. I'm fucking unmotivated. And I was talking to my friend the other day. I was like, I don't know why I feel like this. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, your mom just died. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, yeah, but. He's like, what do you mean, yeah, but? Like, are you fucking crazy?
Yeah.
So it's a horrible feeling. And like, my sister also fucking died. Like,
really?
Whoa.
It's like, in the last few years, I've lost my mother, my father, my sister, my uncle, my cousin.
God damn.
And it was like, before that, no one, I've never known anybody that close to me has died. And it's like, when my sister passed away, she passed away of cancer. And it was, again, which I don't know why my other sister did this. She FaceTimed me, like, as my sister was dying. And I know she did it out of love. She wanted me to be there. And I knew it was happening and I wasn't there. Like, brutal. Like, fucking brutal watching your sister die. And then, you know, getting a call about your father dying. And then being in the hospital as your mother dying. And the worst part is I got super PTSD a couple weeks ago. I actually went to the hospital because I was like, fuck, like I was sick and I couldn't fucking kick it. And then my back hurt and I couldn't get up. And I was like, I got to go to urgent care. I don't have fucking health insurance. I'm going to go to urgent care. I went to urgent care and they're like, we got to call an ambulance. I'm like, why? What are you talking about? They're like, your oxygen levels are like low 80s. Like you're going to die. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, they checked. All I said, I had fucking double pneumonia. They rushed me. I passed out. They took me to in an ambulance. No one knows this, by the way. So I didn't post about it. Didn't talk about it, whatever.
Breaking news.
breaking news. Josh Balz almost fucking died like 3 weeks ago. So I went to urgent care. I passed out at urgent care while we were doing breathing exercises to try to get my oxygen levels out. They rushed me in an ambulance to the emergency room. I got to the emergency room. They're like, all the shit stuck over me. I had a breathing tube in and all this shit, like IVs in my fucking arm. And I was like, what would have happened if I didn't go to urgent care? She's like, 2 days.
Wow.
That's crazy.
You would have just like your oxygen levels were so your shit would have just started shutting down. Like it was crazy. And the PTSD, that's how my mom died a month earlier, you know?
Right.
So it was fucking terrifying. Like my assistant Amber sat there next to me. She drove. I only told like 1 or 2 people like in the time that happened, just because. And my assistant came out. I was like, "Why'd you come down?" She's like, "Are you kidding? Your mother just died of what you have."
Right.
I was like, "Fuck." I was like, "Thanks for putting that in my brain."
Right. That's crazy.
So that was fine. And then I got a $25,000
medical bill. Ambulance ride.
Yeah, they gave him an aspirin, and so it cost him $50,000.
I can't believe I was on fucking antibiotics, steroids. I had inhalers. I had all this stuff. I was like, but all right, you want to know we're taking a long time, but this is a good little story.
You're fine.
This is fine. It would have been cheaper if you died.
Cheaper if I died. It's funny because I always say like, man, I want to fucking die, and everyone goes after I didn't die. They're like, man, you would have got your wishes if you weren't such a pussy. And I went, fair.
That's true.
They called your bluff.
That's true. Man up, dude.
When I get to urgent care, the lady in the room was like, so you're going to tell your sister about this? And I went, oh, this lady knows who I am. I went, fuck. I'm in like sweatpants like this, like dying. And then, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell my sister because she'll have a fucking panic attack. And she's like, well, I can't tell her because of HIPAA. HIPAA. She's like, so don't worry. And I'm like, oh, thank God. And then I get into the ambulance and I come to, and they're like, the lady was like, who's going to watch the shops while you're gone? I went, motherfucker. I'm like, fuck. Like,
Mayor of Scranton strikes again.
And then I get to the emergency room, and then he's like, you own the Strange and Unusual, right? And I went, someone just better fucking kill me.
Dickies
and then
Balz.
The guy who pushed, I got in a wheelchair and had to go get x-rays of my lungs to show that I had nice double pneumonia at the time. And he was pushing me in the thing. He's like, hey, I hate to like ask, but like you're Josh Balz that was in Motionless, right? And I went, I'm killing myself.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it.
Yeah, this is it. This is where it ends.
What if he asked you to sign a vinyl?
I would have. I 100% definitely would have. I would have took a picture like this, like 'cause that's how I am. But I was so fucking embarrassed, like because like in certain people's like I'm a fucking machine. You know what I mean? Like I don't stop.
Yeah.
I'm not weak. I bury all my emotions. I'm fucking usually pretty like. So for me I feel like that was even though I was like I wasn't weak. I needed hospitalization. I felt weak and embarrassed, which shouldn't have been the case, but here we are.
It's a vulnerable state that I think that we kind of try to shy away from. I do the same thing. I'm afraid of. I mean, there's so much responsibility. What happens if you can't do it? As a parent, even just that alone. Like, what if you physically can't do something?
I can't imagine.
It's
having
scary.
Children.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
How old is your kid, Chris?
My son he just turned 7, and then my daughter turns 4 on Friday, so in 2 days.
So they're young. They're still young.
Yeah.
That's the fun stuff.
Oh yeah, but they're it's all of the awesome with all of the stress and anxiety at all times too, though.
Okay, can I jump off this porch into that pit of nails? That'd be great, right?
Luckily, my son's too timid to do that stuff, and my daughter will do a front flip into that pit of nails if you let her, though. So you got to watch her.
Yeah, that's fair. But
my son's at the age now I'm making bets with other dads if I'm going to get into argument with referees or other parents.
He knows you well.
I'll put 100. I'm going on that one.
No, I'm not arguing anymore the rest of the year. I'm not going to yell at a ref.
Dude,
the rest of the season.
You can't make commitments. You don't make commitments you can't follow through with.
I'm putting money on that.
All the way through May, I can't argue with a ref. I mean, I can't yell at a ref or argue with other opposing team parents.
How old is he now?
10.
I remember when he was fucking born.
Me too.
That's crazy.
You sent me a meme that said something about Mick Monder's dad or something like that. I still have it on my phone.
Who?
You.
I did?
Yeah.
10 years
Still
ago
on
was a
my
long
phone.
time ago. It's easy to
It's a
forget
long
that
fucking
shit.
time ago. How has your relationship with music changed over the years?
That's a great question. I'm not even sure how to answer that question.
Like,
I mean, do you even still enjoy it at all?
It stresses me out.
Okay.
It's just like, because like I have an entire record done, and I'm terrified to do anything with it.
Sure.
Because I'm afraid of failing with it.
Sure.
So it's like I can't just put something out, and this ties into a little bit of another what we're talking about with favors. Is like I've recorded this fucking nuts album. It's awesome. I did with Tom Hain, who wrote with Motionless, In This Moment, Korn, like all of the great album. And this is me like sending it to some of my friends, be like, hey, will you sing on this record? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Like I've done enough of stuff this year. I don't know if I could commit to that. Or like I asked Chris to sing on the record and he just fucking straight up didn't answer me. Like
that's normal for him.
That's pretty normal. Yeah.
He's the worst. Well, it's funny because Chris Davis
I knew you were going there.
Is also horrendous at responding.
Yeah, I'll accept that criticism.
Chris Motionless is pretty fucking bad though. He's the worst at responding. But then it's weird. Like sometimes I wonder, does he see it? Does he not see it? But then he'll respond, so I know he's just seeing it, and I don't know. It's weird. He's weird.
Regardless,
he's weird with
he ignored
texting.
it because he was texting me afterwards. And that kind of shit drives me nuts of like, you know, hey guys, I thought you were like hitting up this person and asking this person or asking this favor, or like, and just being, you know, never saying no, but correctively saying no. And I'm like, fuck, like, I'm nobody. I'm fucking like, then I'm just going to sit on this. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't know. And then I keep thinking about putting out music, and I probably will. Like, I'll probably keep, like, I recorded this cover of Wicked Games that I think I'm going to probably like put out. I love that song, and like working on some like cool Bowie-esque stuff also, like. But yeah, I fucking hate music half the time, and I love it the other half of the time, which is the worst fucking dichotomy of existence. Like I wanna punch it in the face, because like even with like now the battle is like booking shows and making sure I don't lose my ass on them, and then but also figuring out how to market them correctly, like making the bands happy, making this happy, like filling the seats, paying my bills, paying my mortgages, and like I have a very big hate love with music, and half the time it can go fuck itself. And the other half is like, I wouldn't be able to survive without it, which is probably the worst answer that anyone has ever given. But that is it.
I was curious because I don't find myself in love with music like I was before as a kid. Like I listen to it when my bands send me stuff, and I have a select few records that I go to that I'll listen to on a plane or something like that. But other than that, I don't really give a fuck.
It's very rare to make me excited.
Exactly. I find myself turning to the bands I listened to when I was younger more than anything.
Yeah.
And there are a handful of more like modern contemporary bands that like I get really stoked on when they put out new music. Outside of that, like the only time I ever am actively checking out new artists or new music is like if I'm on Twitch and somebody's like, hey, you should pull this up and listen to it right now. Or like
Same.
I'm about to go on tour with a band that I've never heard of before. Like I'll go check out their music. Like I don't connect with it in the same way that I did when I was growing up. But I think that's because I have so much other bullshit going on in my life that like
saturated lives.
Yeah. Like where the fuck do we even find fucking, 30 minutes to listen to a record start to finish? Any record for that matter. Like it's just
an airplane.
Yeah, maybe. But even that, I'll be honest, my life is so saturated with music related shit that on an airplane, I'm either watching a movie or listening to a podcast, and I'm not listening to music typically.
Yeah, same.
I just listen to music because I want to go to sleep. So if I put something on that like I'm familiar with, I'm not like
engaged.
Like a lot of I don't over engage, so I can try to go to sleep.
Yeah, fair.
But it's like background noise, you know what I mean? And then more recently, the past couple of flights, I've just put my AirPods in so nobody talks to me, and they have the noise canceling, and it dims down that sound, and I don't put anything on.
So what you're saying is you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, probably.
He's just cashing in on his bands that are putting all this hard work into music, and he's like, I fucking hate everything you guys are doing. Music. That's what he just said.
Nice to be rich.
It's not what I said. It's not what I said at all. You're putting words into my mouth.
It's crazy. Like that new Sleep Token is insane. That Bad Omens record. The go-tos are just like easy because I was so like, it got shoved in my fucking face. I love Orville Peck. I don't know if you guys ever listen to Orville Peck. It's
Never
amazing.
heard of it.
I know the name. I don't know any of the music.
He's like dream pop country.
I was thinking of the popcorn brand. What kind of music?
It's like dream pop country. So it's not, don't listen to the new album. Go back like an album or two. It's fucking awesome. And then I love Sierra Farrell. She's great. Another country artist. She plays violin. She's awesome. Gunship, I really love.
Gunship is awesome.
Retro synthwave.
Yep.
Bullshit.
That's have you connected with Andrew from the Ghost Inside over synthwave stuff?
Oh yeah.
That's just shit. Gunwave is awesome. Or Gunship, excuse me. Gunship is awesome.
Yeah, he sent me a bunch of his shit that he was working on years ago, and I was like, this is amazing.
It's so good, dude.
I did recently just discover Sleep Token a little bit, and I was interested in I enjoyed the sound. I haven't like listened to their music too extensively, but I like that guy Louis Capaldi a lot.
Great voice.
And
I don't have you ever watched the Louis Capaldi? I didn't mean to cut you off. If you watched the Louis Capaldi documentary on Netflix, if you haven't,
I would love to.
I highly suggest it. It's
because he has Tourette's.
Yes,
I was gonna say that's the Tourette's guy, right? He's fucking hilarious.
He is hilarious. But the documentary is like it's really gives you like a very honest look at what his like day-to-day life is, dealing with trying to be this massive artist who's just blowing up more and more while his Tourette's is like getting more and more out of hand. It's crazy. I
would love to watch that. I first of all, I love documentaries. I really don't even find myself watching movies much anymore. I love documentaries. So I'm definitely going to watch that. But where I was going with that is that Sleep Token reminds me of like, and I've only listened to one or two songs, so I could be off on this with the majority of their catalog, but it reminds me of like a metal Louis Capaldi.
You know what holds that band and makes it so fucking good is the drummer is...
Dude, next level.
Like that... Like So when it comes to like musicians like that, it's like he doesn't oversauce it. He feeds the song so well, and he's the little he reminds me of Chad from Breaking Benjamin when Chad was in the band with those little fills that made such an impact, but were so simple. Like it's so hard that people don't serve the song anymore. They serve themselves or they serve like other people. So sure. I think their drummer, like Josh, next time you listen to that Sleep Token record, listen to this dude drum. Why do I look like the fucking Tin Man now? Jesus Christ.
The sun has been slowly
it's the sun. I have a fucking, I'm in my bedroom and the other side is, I put a 16-foot fucking giant door out to a balcony. But when that sun comes in, it's pretty brutal.
You're a goth too. I'm surprised you haven't like fucking caught flame or something.
Do you see the sparkle? He's a Twilight vampire. You see the sparkle?
I am. Look at this.
There's a little bit of a sparkle.
Do you have any sort of dream of yours that is completely unrelated to your current life or lifestyle? Completely, like for me, I would love, if I could do anything in the world, I would be a professional football player. I love football.
Interesting. Like
anything like that's just completely different from what you've done now.
There's three like goals. I have a couple goals in my life. One is I want to be on Broadway. Like I want to sing on Broadway. Like I think that'd be not that saying that I can even sing on Broadway. That's like one of my like dreams. I want to own an amusement park. And I want to be a host or something on a major television network. Like I like hosting. Like I love talking. I love like when we did that Space Zebra shit, like that was the most fun I had. And I want to do that on a bigger level. Like, cause I've done it on this level, you know what I mean? That like I want to be a major network, like something. And I wouldn't even know how to go about that, how to do that, nor do I have journalism training or anything, but that would be a huge thing for me. I think that would be so cool to get into TV. So it's kind of in the same world, but very obviously very different.
Maybe we bring back Headbangers Ball in some way and you can just be the new Joey Josta.
I tried.
Oh, really?
We were trying to like buy the IP of it. It's like,
that would have been fucking sick.
When I was Wimmer.
Speaking of Wimmer, and you've brought up Space Zebra, and you and Josh talked about your first fest you did with Motionless, which you said was Rockville, right?
Yep.
Do you still do work with Danny Wimmer? Is Parlor still like doing like booths and stuff at the fests?
So we do all the fests. Like Parlor still does all the fests. So I was down there recently. I did Louder Than Life, and I think did I do Incarceration or something? I forget which one. But yeah, Parlor does all of them. We're still like, I still talk to Wimmer very, very seldomly. Like he was always, Wimmer terrifies the fuck out of me. So scary. but the nicest human being that's ever existed.
What's scary about him? Just the fact that he's like a pretty important figure in the music industry these days.
He is so nice, and he just is fucking confidence. Like he's fucking business. Like he knows what he wants. He gets it. He does it. Like I love that. Like I look up to him. I think he's a fucking machine.
Oh, he's a genius.
He's a genius. Like him and Hayes down there just fucking crushing it. Like I got along with Hayes a lot more because I dealt with him a lot more. Danny Hayes is his CEO, and we hung out a lot. They treated me like fucking family. It was crazy. Like I was, invited to holiday parties and this and all that stuff, and they really did take us in and really. I'm bummed I don't work with them anymore. Like I really am. I wish that still there was something in that world that I still did. They kind of went the Power Hour way.
Sure.
With that beautiful man Pinfield, Bernstein, and Babs. Like I can never be mad because we put together that show, make me like all that stuff, and it's a bummer that ours went away and they kept that going. Again, jealousy thing I'm sure plays that factor, and I would love to do it again, but it is what it is. But yeah, great people at DWP, and they've treated me like family. Even people that have left them and they're doing other things, they still help me out. Amanda's over at fucking Insomniac crushing, and Holly and these, and like everyone goes and does other things. Jake is still over at DWP, and he's a fucking Jake and Trey are some of my other great friends, and I've obviously talked to Bobby almost multiple times a week. So
have you expressed interest to them about the idea of getting back into it?
I think it's just money. Like DWP was the only company doing what they were building personalities inside of their world, which I think was very genius. And I'm bummed that it went away, but it's so smart to build, because then the people become marketing tools inside of their world.
Totally.
Like Babs, Guns, Bernstein, Pinfield, me, Bobby West. Like you just become, you're build and Jose Mangan. Like you're building these machines like that are just now becoming marketing machines. Like they treated me as a marketing machine, which is fucking genius.
Yeah, extremely genius.
Why they're spending tens of thousands of dollars on Facebook ads and this ads and billboards and whatever, but why not pay Josh Balz this amount of money, and we get his platform, his fan base, his this, and then we get to film this stuff, we get to do this, like that times 10 really does move the needle, because then we got people like bands on that would then the bands would also be another cog in the thing, and it's like all right, now you have 5 members sharing this thing plus the band plus Josh Balz plus this. And now it's just like it was a genius thing, and I think it just cost too much money, and they didn't see there was no ROI on it. Yeah, because there is no ROI in marketing. It's
that's part of the game, though.
It's part of the risk. So,
yeah, it's a part of it.
But they were paying a ton of money. Like I remember we were doing we streamed Welcome to Rockville.
Yeah, I remember. I came to see you.
It was like $500,000. It's a big deal. Like
Huge.
It was a big operation. Like.
It was
big.
sick though. With
Everything
the
was
stage
made.
behind you and shit. Like it was like fucking MTV.
It was awesome, and I wish it. So I think what we were looking for is a someone to buy the show, like a YouTube or a Facebook or a Netflix and it just never came to fruition. Just because no one gives a fuck about music.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate reality.
It's tough.
It's life.
All right, I'm sending you a picture right now. You recently posted it. Huh?
What?
What'd you say?
Is it of your penis?
No. It would break your phone. No, I'm sending you this picture. You have recently posted it on your Instagram. I want to know your immediate thoughts, what you were thinking then, if you remember, and what you think right now.
Oh God. Do you see that fucking thing on my head?
Yeah.
Chris, do you know what he sent me?
Oh yeah.
He knows.
He
knows.
and in post, I will put it on screen for everybody to share this moment with us.
My favorite thing is what Rich commented.
What'd he say?
You didn't see it?
I probably did. I just don't remember.
He said you look like Edward Scissorhands before the scissors.
That's crazy. I was in a single wide trailer, in my father's single wide trailer, and my dad took that picture. My dad, I'm going to say this very candidly because it was a part of my life and it was whatever.
Sure.
My dad used to call me a faggot all the time. I wore a pink belt. I had this huge, like, shitty black hair.
You were a scene kid.
But he said it very lovingly. It was never like, my dad had nothing against, but like.
But too, let's go back let's clear this up. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that word was viewed very differently.
Oh yeah, and again, I don't say it or cancel me. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, probably that.
I hire gays, theys, fucking everybody. I love fucking.
Just
everybody.
cancel them. Just cancel.
Get it over with.
I can say whatever I
get
want.
it over with.
Cancel me. But that time, it's funny because like I have no hair now. I miss having hair so much, and it reminded me like, fuck, like. I wish. I mean, I still have like hair, but it's like thin. Like if I grew it back, it'd look like shit. Like it sucks. I don't even know why I posted it. I've been feeling a lot nostalgic lately, and I think it was just one of those things where I had nothing, and now I have everything, and I feel exactly the same.
I was thrilled to see Rich's comment. It made me laugh. Like sometimes you say LOL to things that are funny and you don't laugh out loud. That actually made me laugh out loud. Edward before the scissors. And you talk to Rich still?
I texted him yesterday.
Oh, cool. He's fucking, man.
He's a machine.
Is this Vargo we're
Rich
talking
Vargo.
about?
Yeah.
What a fucking great dude.
The craziest thing about Rich Vargo is that when I first brought him on, he was a drum tech.
Oh shit.
And he didn't know how to drum tech. He was a Disney on Ice tech. And I was working at the local arena here. I used to work on off time and I met him there. And he wanted to come on tour with a rock band. So we hired him as a drum tech. And Chris called me and told me it was the biggest mistake I ever made. Hiring somebody because I wasn't there.
He was so dumb.
Were you there when it was like, hey, full kit, and he like, I don't know how to play drums or something like that?
Yeah, it was sound check. They're like, check the whole kit. And he was like,
yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Funny.
But now he's fucking guitar teching. Well, he guitar tech for Ben forever, and then now he's teching for fucking Zachy, his guy.
Yes.
Stage right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Crazy. I love Rich.
Good for him. He deserves the world.
He's such a sweet dude. He's such a sweet dude. We already talked about Apocalypse Fest. I think that this is a good question because we talked about the moment of coming out on stage and like the cheering of the fans and how that made you feel in that moment. I want to know what you were feeling waiting for that moment. Standing back there waiting, knowing that you're coming out soon. Because you did the Rockstar entrance. You did that fucking Michael Jackson entrance where you rose up from the stage, which is like crazy. So like, what was that moment like? Because I feel like I can relate to that feeling being at the Shrine, our first show back, and we had a kabuki, and we could see the crowd from our side, but they couldn't see us. And standing up there while the intro is rolling and like staring at 8,000 people and being like, I didn't think I was ever going to get back up here again. This is fucking crazy. And like all of these emotions from like excitement to anxiety to like sadness to like so happy I could cry, like all of it hitting me in that moment. Like what was that moment for you waiting for that okay and lift him to stage moment? Like what was that like for you?
I was terrified I was gonna fuck up.
Sure.
I was like, oh my God, am I gonna remember these songs and am I gonna do this? And like I don't know what I felt so happy that I got the ability to be able to do that again. And whether it ever happens again, like it was an interesting situation to be able to do that. And I felt crazy. It was such a weird, it was like such a realization that, man, something that I helped start and helped do has now turned into, 18,000 tickets. You know what I mean? Like that's fucking crazy over 2 days and coming up and I was like, I also in my head was like, is anyone going to give a fuck when I raise up? That was what was in my head. Of course. Why be positive when you can just be a piece of shit, negative idiot? And I was like, I'm going to come up and no one's going to give a fuck. And it's just going to be a thing. And I'm going to go away and I'm going to go cry in the fucking back. I came up and it was so loud and people freaked the fuck. People cried.
It was special, man.
And it made me feel loved, especially after the month that I've had and the years that I've had. And it made me feel great. But the moments going up to it were so interesting because it was, is anyone going to give a fuck that I'm here? Like, am I going to forget these songs? Because I played them live. Like, I told Chris, I said, put them on tracks. I was like, who gives a fuck?
Right.
Like, I'm 35 years old. I
got nothing to prove to anybody.
He's like, play them live. And I went, fuck. I played them. I fucking played them live, and I messed up a little bit, and my ears fell out, and I had no monitors, and it was interesting, but we did it, and I felt something, and I think it kind of ruined my life a little bit in a tiny bit of spectrum, but I think it needed to happen.
Sure.
For myself and the fans as well, because they've been, it was a big part of my life, and it was a big part of their life,
It was special. It was
very special.
That whole thing was special. It was fucking, even for me, it was a whirlwind of emotions because I remember when Reincarnate came out, it changed our lives. I mean, that record definitely changed the trajectory of the band, which in turn changed our lives, right? And for another side of it, to be able to have Dark Divine play the show was, first of all, having a band like Dark Divine after I spent so much time with Motionless was scary at first because like I didn't want anybody to think that we were trying to rip Motionless.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, because I just not me though.
Oh, fuck that. Take the exact same road, and you don't need to recreate the wheel. Make those fuckers.
But the thing is that once we got to it, like I just built the same exact team. Like we got the same agents. Matt Anderson and Tom Taft booked Dark Divine.
Yeah.
And then, once we started seeing the Chris and Spencer and Andy endorse the band, it was like, all right, this is the next generation.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is because it has to happen. I mean, think about before Chris and Andy and Spencer. It was Alex from Atreyu, Will from Aiden, Brandon from Bleeding Through, Manson. Like it was all those guys. So, but to be able to have them play that show that was such a celebration of a pivotal moment of my life and my career was really important.
I mean, it was a great feeling for me too. Like, especially watching him come out on stage and be like, I'm 15 years old. Like, how old is he? Like 20?
21.
21. He's like, I'm 21. This is like a big show. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like,
they're kids.
What was I doing at 21?
Right.
They were in your meet and greet.
I know. Oh, he posted that picture. Like, that's crazy.
It's crazy as shit.
That's a crazy thing. And I'm sure you've met a couple people over the years of like, I'm now 35 and people when I was in Motionless, I've made like, there's adults now that were fans of Motionless that are like a big deal now. Like big bands, fucking people on TV, like actors, doctors, like, oh, I'm a huge Motionless fan. I'm like, you're like,
bro, we're old.
Old.
It's crazy to think like I'm going to be 39 this year.
Well, it's old.
It's yeah, thank you. But no, it's like it's fucking wild when when I was 20 and I heard of a 40-year-old, I'm like, that motherfucker's old.
Yep.
And here we are.
That guy.
It's coming for you, dude.
It's fucking coming.
Hey.
That motherfucker's undefeated.
Someone's coming on you.
Yeah, fuck it.
Josh's favorite pastime.
So before we go to this lightning round thing, we're gonna ask one question. I mean, I'm gonna ask you one more question. It's no secret, right, that you and Chris butt heads and things were rocky and all that stuff. Would you say that's over now?
Yeah, we're adults.
Yeah,
it's fine. Like what's the point of I'm the one who quit. He didn't kick me out. It was not whatever. Like I made this decision. So at this point now it was just, and he's apologized to me and I've apologized to him, for things that have happened in the past. And it is what it is. I'm still pissed that he doesn't answer my texts. I wish he'd be more of a friend now in our 30s. Cause that was our biggest thing is like, I got on the phone with Chris and not a lot of people know this is when I quit, we had this long conversation when I quit and it was, how come we never became really good friends? We're very similar. We're very like, we want to be leaders. We want to be this and the band got in the way of that. I think like if I was never in the band and we became friends, I think we would have been closer. But I think being in the band and doing this all the time because I wanted to argue. I wanted to argue because I thought my opinion should be heard or blah, blah, blah. I think we've both apologized for that. You know, I'm pissed about certain things, and they'll never change. But and I'm sure he feels the same way about me. And but it's, you know, definitely water under the bridge now, and we're not. I wouldn't say we're like friends or buddies or whatever, but we exist in each other's lives, and that's kind of what it is.
I feel like that's a forever thing, though. Like, we spent so much time together, so many holidays, so much time together. Like, you can't erase that.
No, me and Josh got in a fight before. We've like punched each other.
Yep.
Me and Josh have we've never exchanged blows, but we've said fucking terrible things to each other over the years.
Yeah.
Bro, I always say this though, like, the thing that people don't understand, the biggest thing about touring that people don't understand is you're existing in a bus situation with 12 other people. I mean, 11 other people, right? And in every work environment, somebody irritates you, somebody pisses you off. It's just part of life.
Yeah.
We're all, not only we're in our 20s, we're developing men, there's testosterone, all this bullshit that you want to attribute to it, but whatever. It's not like at Walmart, somebody pisses you off, you get mad, you go home, you're off the next day, so you have 48 hours to calm down. You got to go to bed above this motherfucker or below this motherfucker. You better figure out how to get along. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
People don't understand that shit. It's like, you know, fuck you, motherfucker. No, fuck you. Well, all right, good night. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't, you can't, when I go back to the shit of like, I can't teach you how to do this. I can't teach you how to coexist with people. And there's some people that you might not even like, but you got to fucking live with them.
Yep.
Well, here's the other side of it too, is when you are in a band that tours the way that our bands have over the years, you create a relationship with the people, not even just in your band, but like even your band and crew, anybody you spend that much time together in close proximity, it's way more akin to being family than just friends. Like there's a bond that goes way beyond just the guy you hang out with on the weekends. Like you are family members, and you don't always have to like each other. You know, like my parents drive me crazy and I don't always like them, but I will always show up for them when they need me. I'll always be there. My wife has been my best friend for nearly 20 years. You know, she drives me crazy. I don't always like her, but I will always love her and I will always show up. Same with my kids, same with all the guys in my band. And you don't always have to like each other, but when push comes to shove, you will always show up for each other. It's just how it works.
I think if any of those guys called me tomorrow, I would drop it and help.
I feel like I would imagine they would do the same for you too.
Yeah.
Probably. Touring has always been this weird concept, and I've talked about this with a couple people, but there's this weird thing, like, you know, sometimes on tour you just vibe with certain people. Like, you just, like a crew guy, right? We might bring a crew guy in, or you might tour with a band and you hit it off with this dude and you guys are buddies for that tour, right? And then you go home and you might never see that person again in your life.
Yep.
Isn't that weird?
There's a lot of those. I mean, I used to bond with all of the crew guys, I'm still great friends with Mac. Like, I fucking love Mac.
I haven't talked to Mac in a long time. But I talked to Mac.
Well, not as much as I would like to, but like,
I'm going to text him right after
him, this. Fucking Orby, fucking, all of those idiots, all of those fucking, and I try to stay in those people's lives. And, you know, Nate and
totally
all those, like Vargo and, you know, Chris LaPont is one who's always like,
who?
Fucking Chris, you know, Chris.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Like him, like he's great. Like, I try to stay involved in a lot of these people's lives because they were big parts of my life and they are still parts of my life. And I think it's tough to stay, but yeah, there's some people you're friends with them on Facebook, but
that's what I keep my Facebook. Like, my Facebook is, I only accept people that I actually know, because that's how I like to keep up with people. And I like to, you know, I'll message people on Facebook and shit like that. But two, like, people post stuff and you're like, oh, cool, they're doing that. Oh, great. Chris is out with Falling in Reverse. That's cool as shit. You know what I mean? Like, you see that kind of stuff and you're like, all right, cool. It's like a way of keeping in touch without having to talk 24/7.
You know their lives without even talking to them,
Right, which
and,
is nice.
and vice versa, depending on how
it's
you
nice.
post.
It's nice.
Crazy world we live in.
It is crazy. All right, we did this thing where we're getting toward the end now. It's just been way longer than we expected, but this is great. I think
It took too long. Or you think it was going to be any shorter?
this is great.
We can probably go for another 2 hours.
Easy.
Yeah, easy. We're calling it our day sheet questions, right? It's like a lightning round, basically. And Chris is going to ask all these questions, and you just got to answer them. First thing comes to mind.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, so let's go over the day sheet here. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning.
Okay, not what I was expecting. You goths like the nighttime. I expected. I'm a night owl. So
I'm morning as shit.
I'm a sleepy boy.
yeah, Josh, you're fucking 76 years old.
That's true.
My body feels like it.
All right, favorite tour snack.
Favorite what? Tour snack?
Tour snack. Yeah, it's favorite snack to eat on tour.
I don't know, I've been on tour in 7 years. Peanut brittle. Like these peanut brittle things. They're fucking.
All right, you're the old man now. That's some old man shit.
That is some shit you find.
Brownie brittle, peanut brittle. Fuck me.
All right, this next one I'm going to ask you. I hope you answer honestly, and just know that my answer, if I was asked, would be way more incriminating than anything you could possibly say.
Naked.
The longest time you went without showering on tour.
Right now I shower once a week. Then I probably went 10 days. Easy.
Oh, I'm still worse than you, and we don't need to know what my answer is, and we'll just move on to the next question, which
I'm
is
still disgusting. That those habits have not died.
favorite place you visited.
Belgium.
Okay. If you're picking one song at karaoke to sing, what is it? What's your go-to?
Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey.
Ooh, that is not what I expected.
No, that's a banger. Not at all where I was expecting you to go with that.
You look like a Journey Don't Stop Believing guy.
It's too high.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Vanilla bean.
Same. Big same. I respect that. What is your desert island album? If you could only pick one album for the rest of your life, nothing else, what would it be?
Queen, Night at the Opera.
Okay, acceptable. Your most recent Google search. This could go sideways real quick, I feel like.
With this guy?
Well, one was the Under Oath Records.
Okay.
Yeah, but you did that on this.
I did that on this.
What was before that?
Oh, nothing.
Laying in bed at night.
I was looking at tires.
We're old as fuck. That is some old man shit. I'm going to eat my peanut brittle while searching for tires.
I was on American Musical Supply and looking for tires. Those are the two last things I was doing on Google.
All right, fair enough. Much safer response than I was expecting, to be honest.
Me too.
Well,
if you asked what the last porn I watched, that's xnxx.com. Go ahead. Next question. What
could you name a guilty pleasure of any sort that you have?
Shania Twain. I love Shania Twain, but that's not really a guilty pleasure.
No.
I'll sing it off the top of my lungs. Zero guilty pleasures.
Respect.
I
think
wear
that's the right
everything
answer. There's no such thing as a guilty pleasure, in my opinion.
I wear everything on my sleeve.
Fair enough. All right, last one. If there's a movie about your life, who are you casting to play you?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Roadhouse Jake Gyllenhaal, ripped like a UFC fighter, or what?
No, look at me. I'm a fucking piece of shit.
So you're talking
like
Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Because we look the same. Look at this.
Basically the same guy.
Since you're one of our first ones on this Late for Load-In show, we're going to give Parler free product placement in the whole show. But here's the deal.
Yeah.
You got to send us free product for the free placement.
Yeah, we're going to do you a favor so that you do us a bigger favor. Thank you.
Because
I'll send you guys some.
I truthfully love this. You know that.
I know.
You should text Matt Steele and ask him how many root beers I drank at Apocalypse.
You're the only person who drank it all.
I probably literally had 8 from the time I got there till I left.
At any fest that TGI plays that Parler is a part of, Vigil and I fight over all of our Parler supply.
You know, you guys can just ask, right?
Yeah, but we don't like to be those guys.
Nah.
That's fair. That's very fair.
I buy mine, but not anymore because we're going to do free product placement.
Come here. Hey, ding dong.
That was slick, right? You like that?
Hey, that was nice.
That was good.
Drinkparlor.com. Hold on.
Huh? Yeah, good.
Look at this. Look at this chicken nugget here.
Oh my God. Who is that creature?
This is Volta.
What a majestic being.
She's a baby.
I love
That's
it.
That's a nice coat.
I love it.
You should make a belt.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
True.
Don't do anything to that poor animal.
I have my other palms in a cage in a glass box downstairs.
Yeah, I know. Did you really get them taxidermied?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, you got to send me pictures of that. I got to see T.
Respect.
Oh, I miss T.
That's crazy.
If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Go to medical school.
Oh yeah, we're just gonna bookend this whole episode then, huh?
All right, last thing, and then we're out. Then you're free to leave. Marry one, fuck one, kill one. Winona Ryder, Taylor Swift, Jared Leto.
Hey, that's a tough one.
I know.
So Winona Ryder, Taylor Swift, Jared Leto.
Yeah.
One, are you 15?
I'm trying to get back to I'm trying to bring myself
honestly,
back.
I'm not really attracted to Taylor Swift.
You killing her?
I think so.
But she could be your sugar mama if you marry her.
True.
I mean, all
billionaire.
three of them are sugar mama.
I mean, this is true.
But Taylor Swift.
She's
Taylor
got
Swift
more
is
money
on
than
a
all of them, though, for sure.
different level of sugar mama.
But
She's
but also,
sugar
like,
mommy.
are we talking Winona Ryder now or Winona Ryder? Like, can I pick the era?
You pick the era, that's fine. But you talking? You killing the sugar mommy?
I don't know. I think I would marry Winona Ryder.
Okay.
But like
Okay.
Edward Scissorhands, Tim Burton era Winona.
That's
Ryder.
the Winona Ryder we were thinking about. So you're marrying Winona. You're fucking Jared.
Marry Winona Ryder.
You're fucking Jared and killing the sugar mommy.
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
Honestly, fair enough.
I mean, Jared Leto's a beautiful man.
Yeah, he is, especially now, majestic long hair.
He's a little weird now, but
Well, yeah, I wasn't going to go there, but sure.
He looked at my sister-in-law, and she will never live that down. She'll bring it up every time you talk to her.
Did he finger?
Melissa's sister, Ashley?
Did he ever
Anthony's
finger?
wife? I have no idea. I didn't ask.
You never know. You should ask.
Is
Is she still with Anthony?
Yeah. And he was there, so I don't know.
Can you ask Anthony if they
Text him.
DP'd? I should text him.
Text him and ask.
I will.
Hey, did Jared Leto finger your wife?
Jesus Christ.
I would say, hey, I heard.
You haven't talked to him. You haven't talked to him in a year, and that's the question you ask.
Hey, Josh said that Jared Leto fingered your wife.
fingered your wife. Yeah, that'd be great.
Hold on, I'm going
That's
to
a
send it right
perfect
now.
one.
Jesus Christ.
No, I'm not. Oh, wait. I got to go eat lunch. Fuck you guys.
All right. Cool. Hey, appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks
Appreciate
for
the time.
Thanks for taking the time out of the day to have a chat with us, dude. This was awesome. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Hey everyone, Chris here, and I just wanted to take a second to say thanks for watching today's episode. You can check out more episodes of Late for Load-In on the right side of your screen and find any applicable links to this episode in the description down below. There you'll also find a link to our Patreon, which is the most direct way to support the show, and it's only $1 a month. Please consider giving this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to follow us on all social platforms, at Late for Load-In, at Chris_TGI, at Josh Korel. See you guys next week.